In the Middle East, at a time of historic transformation and upheaval, one country is rising quietly upwards, Turkey. Now in its 9th year of rule by the AK Party, a party inspired in part by Islam. The country has achieved levels of prosperity and stability envied by its neighbours. It's also seen as a country which is successfully so far combining democracy and Islam. But under the AKP, Turkey has done more than improve its systems of governance. It's reached out to the Middle East and done something that Turkish governments previously have not done. It's got involved. But as Western governments can tell you, getting involved in the Middle East can get your fingers badly burnt. One man, more than any other, is responsible for Turkey's drive to engage. Turkey's Foreign Minister Ahmet Davutoglu. Sayın Davutoglu, welcome to Talk to Al Jazeera. You said this week, when you were looking at the situation in Egypt, that you were worried about a negative domino effect, and you hoped you would see, obviously, a positive one. What did you mean by that? Be specific. What are the scenarios that are still really causing you concern?
Now, of course, after recent developments, I think that there will be a positive domino effect. When I said this, it was before the decision of President Mubarak and the developments in Egypt after his resignations. What was the negative scenarios? Two negative scenarios could be really negative, could have very negative domino effect. One was prolonging the term of President Mubarak, and which will lead to an escalation of tension between the administration and the people, and maybe even between the army and the people. Or the second, a transformation which may bring a chaos. But in this new context, I think both of these negative scenarios are not valid anymore. Now we are hopeful, we are very optimistic, because Egyptian people decided to have a historic transformation and change, and now we can have a change with stability, not a change which lead to chaos, but now we can be more hopeful that there will be transformation without destroying the stability, and change and stability, we hope, will be working together. If this is succeed in Egypt as a good example, I am sure that will have a very positive impact on other countries as well.
Turkey pushed very hard ahead of Hosni Mubarak's resignation. The Prime Minister in particular became increasingly noisy, calling for international monitors for free and fair elections. Finally, the Egyptians seem to have heard enough from you. But where was Turkey, the defender of the oppressed, the defender of the people of Gaza? These things have won Turkey so much admiration in the region. Where was Turkey when Hosni Mubarak was oppressing his own people? Why was your voice not heard then?
First of all, of course, Egyptian society and Egypt as a state has a strong historical background, strong state institutions, and we respect Egypt. We respect all the countries. And as a state-to-state relation, of course, we have full respect, and we do not intervene any domestic affair of any country.
But you began to.
Yes, but if in the last case there was a clear will of the people, and that will of the people was demonstrated in a very peaceful manner, and we see this as a historic opportunity. And before, this opportunity was missed in 1990s when Eastern European countries were transformed towards democracy. This time, we thought that this opportunity should not be missed. And there was a clear will of the people in using peaceful methods. And there, of course, we showed solidarity with the Egyptian people, with Egypt as a country, and we tried to give the correct messages to the Egyptian administration and to President Mubarak through the most appropriate means. That was a call from Prime Minister Erdogan, from Turkey, that now it is time of transformation, now it is time of change, because this is the will of the Egyptian people.
But it's also been heard in Turkey that democracy will be better for business here than Hosni Mubarak's regime was. Is it also not arguable that Turkey is comfortable with dictators as long as they bring stability and a good business relationship with Turkey, but when that is no longer the case, then an alternative is something you would push for?
We are following a very a foreign policy based on principles. As I said, with our neighbors, with all the countries, we want to have equal a relationship based on equality and respect to each other. But at the same time, not only as Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey, as an intellectual, as a person, individual from this region, I care for the historic transformation of our region. Now it is time for this transformation. And with this huge change of networks, telecommunicational links, with all these now there is an emerging regional awareness everywhere in the region that there is a need of change. Each country has its own characteristics we respect. But this really, new awareness, which was best expressed by the people of Egypt, should be seen and that should be understood properly. We are trying to understand these new dynamics. And what we expect, the substance of these new dynamics is a transformation and change is needed based on a consistent integrity of stability and freedom together. This should not be against each other. Stability and freedom, security and freedom, they are not alternative to each other. That's our political philosophy in Turkey. Now, the methodology of this change should be peaceful transformation, not violent change or not creating a chaos. This was our approach, and today we are very happy that this transformation is occurring in a very peaceful manner, and I am sure all of us, we will get lessons from these Tunisian and Egyptian experiences.
But with this transformation, with this transition, comes new players. As I said, your government, you said it's a principled party, a principled government you're attempting to run, and you take your inspiration in part from the principles of Islam. Now, when you talk to the Muslim Brotherhood, what advice do you give them as they now approach a new political reality in Egypt where for the first time these people may have their say in a new democracy?
I am sure you realize when we address to Egyptian people, we address to Egyptian people altogether, not to a particular group, particular political or religious movement. And our call to all Egyptian brothers and sisters was express your will, but use peaceful transformation, respect state institutions, do not confront army or any state institution which may create chaos, but express your views, your demands in a clear manner. That was the call of Prime Minister Erdogan. That was our advice to all Egyptians, including Ikhwan Muslimin, Muslim Brotherhood, but all of them. And for us, we don't see any difference between any Egyptian movement, political trend. They are all of them are our brothers, sisters, friends, neighbors, and we will be speaking with all of them to underlining the basic principles of democracy, human rights, freedom.
Have the Muslim Brotherhood come to you for advice? After all, you made this transition earlier than anyone else. You took an uncertain Turkish electorate and you reassured.
Advice sometimes is by word, sometimes by a good example. And Turkish democracy, stability, economic growth itself is the best advice for everybody if they want to get any advice. And in last 8 years, Turkish democracy has produced stability. There was a worry in the region that if democracy comes, there could be chaos. In Turkish case, democracy produced stability, economic growth, and prosperity. And we don't need to give any advice to anyone. We are just experiencing our own transformation, our own political objectives. But if anybody comes to us, and many, not only Muslim Brotherhood, many political leaders, intellectuals, they are approaching to Turkey, to us, to share their views. And of course, we are sharing our views in a very friendly manner.
Well, if you're right, and Egypt has actually avoided chaos and some kind of peaceful transition will continue to unfold, that leaves us with another big question mark in the region, and that is the conduct of Israel. It's the other destabilizing factor, if you like. It's increasingly isolated and anxious. Now, there are a number of scenarios, and I'm sure you've considered them all, that could unfold if, for example, the new administration in Egypt decides to open the Rafah crossing. What other areas are you particularly concerned about as flashpoints now? Because you have to plan for these things, I would imagine.
But first we have to agree on one basic principle. The will and the future of the people of the Middle Eastern countries cannot be dependent only on the security concerns of Israel. Egyptian people, as a people of dignity and honor, has all the right to decide for its own future. The problem in our region is, in last 20 years, after Middle Eastern peace process started, unfortunately nothing was achieved until now. And who should be blamed for that? Young people in the street demonstrating for peace and stability and freedom in Cairo, or those who are in Israel, who many times blocked the way for peace. Recently, they insisted on having settlements which stopped all the processes in the region. So therefore, the Egyptian or any other, or Tunisian or other people should not be punished because of the wrong decisions of Israel. Egyptian people has the right to decide for its own future, and Israel in this case must respect to this choice. Israelis always were proud of that they are democracy. If democracy is good for Israeli people, the same democracy should be seen as the right of the people of Egypt. Nobody should worry about democracy in Egypt. The decisions in domestic politics and foreign policy should be in the hand of the Egyptian people, not in the hands of other countries.
But if you are, above all, a supporter of stability, and the Camp David Agreement, for example, suddenly looks like it might be in jeopardy, where would Turkey stand on this?
The demonstrators and the representatives of demonstrators several times repeated that they will be respecting international agreements of Egypt. It means there is a window of opportunity after these new developments in Egypt, but that window of opportunity should be used in an appropriate manner. And Israel should take a strategic decision. Do they want to have peace or not? If they want to have a peace could be achievable only based on the 1967 territories. And there was a clear Arab peace plan before, in 2002. If this is respected, I think this new transformation in the Middle East will bring a new momentum for Middle Eastern peace process. But if Israel insists that they want to get all Jerusalem, they don't accept to end the occupation in 1967 borders, then of course there will be problem, and there we will be siding with those who want to have peace, not with those who want to continue their expansionist policies or acting against the will of the international community.
So by a new momentum, you mean new forms of pressure on Israel?
Yeah, of course. As I said, for us, we feel, as Turkey, we feel that now Middle East deserves stability, prosperity, democracy, and peace. And all international community should show solidarity with the people of the Middle Eastern countries. And then we can achieve a solution. But there, Israel should have a clear choice and decision.
It's been said more than once in Turkey in the recent weeks that Israel must be bitterly regretting the fact that, having now lost a lot of its certainties with Egypt, it hadn't apologized to Turkey over the Mavi Marmara incident.
They must apologize.
But they're isolated. They have lost.
Yeah,
they have lost
yes.
Egypt, and they have.
Yeah, it is because of their mistake. How can they win or have good relations with Turkey if they kill our citizens in international waters and do not apologize? Then there cannot be a normal relation between Turkey and Israel. They must respect. Israel must respect international law. They must accept the fact that they are equal to other states in the region, that they are not above the law. If they want others to respect them, they should respect others as well. Our policy vis-à-vis Israel is clear. They should apologize and they should compensate, because they committed a crime in international waters, regardless of the developments in Arab countries in the Middle East, we will continue to ask Israel to apologize and to compensate for this, because it is an action against Turkish nation. Your final report, the Turkish report, forensic report if you like, official investigation into what happened on the Mavi Marmara has been released. It's very tough on Israel. But of course, more than that, we have another flotilla being assembled. In principle, we understand it's going to be launched on the anniversary of the Mavi Marmara incident. Now, is this something that your government will be able to use as another lever on Israel? No. First of all, Mavi Marmara and the convoy last year was not a Turkish initiative. It was an international initiative of NGOs. But it became a Turkish incident. Yes. So it was purely a civilian activity. And also, if there is any new attempt, it will be an NGO activity. If it is an NGO activity, of course, it is not related to the Turkish government. So your government would not intervene to stop another flotilla? Why? From sailing? How a democratic country can stop any NGO activity? Can any European country stop a flotilla which will go to another country to protest for humanitarian issues? But Israel felt that you could have stopped it if you wanted to. Israel has always portrayed this as something that the Turkish government had a choice about. Because they do not accept democratic values of civil societies. They think that state should control all the NGO activities or humanitarian activities, which is not the case. In democratic societies, these type of activities should not be stopped. Of course, we can give our opinion, but we cannot stop any NGO activity, which will be such an action by a state would be undemocratic and not respecting to the civil society. There's been a lot of talk in recent days of Turkey as a role model for the region, as countries like Egypt look beyond the dictatorship they had to the system of government they might like to have. But Turkey, of course, is an imperfect democracy. Some would argue it's not even a fully fledged democracy quite yet. Surely the best role modeling Turkey could do would be to accelerate its own process of putting its house in order, of sorting out this long-standing dispute with your Kurdish people and the other immediate regional disputes that you still have, like Armenia. Surely this is where the real role modeling would come. First of all, we never claim that we are role model for anyone. Every country has its own adventure, its own historical, social, economic background. So we don't want to be a role model. But if anybody wants to get some lessons from our experience, of course, we also got some lessons from other experiences. So this is, in global society, this is a natural process. Secondly, those who are criticizing Turkish democracy, they should know in details what we did in the last 8 years. Constitutional reforms, cultural reforms, economic reforms. Today, Turkish democracy is a success story. Everybody accepts this. But no democracy is perfect. Not only Turkish, but other democracies as well. There is always a way to go for perfectibility. But our democracy is a functioning democracy, well-established democracy, based on freedom of speech and expression and organization, based on fair and transparent elections. In Turkish democracy, there is no single dispute on the transparency of the electoral process. And also, there is no problem regarding freedom of expression or anything. Issues with Armenia, we are trying to solve. It is not a domestic issue of democracy, but it is an international issue. It is an issue between two nation states, and we are trying to solve this. But there is a huge change in Turkish society. Everybody must understand this change. And it is a success story in the sense of democratic transformation. But you still do have issues with freedom of expression. You still have laws in Turkey that prevent people from speaking freely what they feel. Why? In which case? Please give me an example that a person, a journalist, an individual was not able to express the opinion.
I'm thinking in recent days of the man who said the Turkish military ended up being a paper tiger, and your Prime Minister said he should be prosecuted for saying this.
No, please.
Under this legislation that has had so much criticism from both
of course,
within and outside Turkey.
We are ready to respond criticisms, but in that discussion, in that issue, it is not. It was not an issue of freedom of expression. It was an issue to speak in favor of a military coup d'etat or against these. That individual politician tried to express the view that he was regretting that military did not intervene.
But he's allowed to have his opinion?
Yes, he said this, and we have the right to criticize how in a democracy somebody. No, this is not the case. In democracies, there is a freedom of speech, but nobody can act against the democratic principles of the country. This is what everybody should respect. The basic values of democracy, the basic values of freedom, and the democratic system should be respected. That's what we have been saying. And in Turkey, everybody is expressing the views. But in a European or Western country also, there are certain actions which could not be said. Nobody can praise, for example, the racism. And in democracy, nobody should praise or should ask for military intervention.
The military issue is relevant because, of course, Egypt has its own military culture. And up till now, the military in Egypt has played a benevolent role. But you and your party have felt the heavy hand of your domestic military. You've watched a military establishment, in the view of your party and of many Turkish citizens, not play a benevolent role in Turkey. What advice would you have for the Egyptian military at this point now, where they can choose what role they play?
Yeah, in this case, in Egyptian case, we always underline the fact that Egyptian state institutions are strong institutions, having strong historical background. And Egyptian society, Egyptian culture, politics is really a well-established culture and politics. Therefore, we are happy that today Egyptian army plays a role of democratic transformation, because Egyptian army is a national army in the sense that they are getting soldiers and officers from all the segments of the society. And in that transformation, Egyptian army can play a significant role. We were scared that if there was a confrontation between army and the people. Today, Egyptian army declared that they are respecting democracy and they will play a very constructive role in this transformation. And I think their Egyptian military will have a significant role of this historic transformation, with one condition: after the election, they should respect the results and they should transfer all the power to the civil authority. That should be the main principle. In Turkey, same. We want to have a clear position that the government or all the political affairs are civilian affairs, and there should be a well-balanced relation between military and politics, in the sense that military has the role of security only.
So that's your red line, is it? That's what you're watching for. If the Egyptian military do not exit the political arena immediately after organizing free and fair elections, Turkey will be outspoken again, yes?
Yeah, of course, it is up to the Egyptian people to decide, not Turkey. If Egyptian people decide that this transformation was not achieved in a manner that they want, of course, they will show their reaction, and Turkey will support democratic forces in Egypt.
Foreign Minister of Turkey, Ahmet Davutoglu, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you.